Today's episode is part of a mini series with a student of mine who has a lot of curious questions about circadian rhythms, how the body works, and we had a really good long conversation. So you'll hear this in multiple parts. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Clock Tips Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Richardson. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back to my conversation with David Arcamensa. Hope you enjoyed the first part of this series. And yeah, let's get into it.
Because you had just mentioned this maybe like a minute ago, but I was thinking about it.
Mhm.
How do naps play into this trash cleanup and into the circadian rhythm? Like would you recommend naps? Are naps bad? Because a lot of people take naps. Me personally, I don't take them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't take them like rare, but when I do take them, rarely. Like I don't really take them, but every once in a while, the blue moon, it's very stressful per se. And I know that there's a lot of there's not a lot, but there have been a couple athletes, example Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Me and my friend were having a discussion, but to optimize his training, he would take naps and he would break up his like 2 hour nap, train for a bit, 2 hour nap, train for a bit, almost like an eat, sleep, restore.
Right.
And I don't know. Yeah, but how would naps play into the brain, trash cleanup, and into the circadian rhythm?
So, it's a great question. Naps are not intrinsically bad, but if your naps disrupt your nighttime sleep, then it is. Because even if, so just off the bat, naps shouldn't be long. Like over 30 minutes, definitely you're going into murky waters.
They shouldn't be long?
No.
What? Wait, I thought because your whole sleep cycle, doesn't it get complete? I seen somewhere it's like an hour and a half to go through one whole sleep cycle, just about. But you don't want that?
But your sleep cycle is supposed to happen at night. And so naps are supposed to represent like a refresher during the day because your brain knows that you should be alert during the day, not sleeping. And so think about it. If you are gathering this adenosine, right, after you're going through these different reactions, and you go to sleep for a whole sleep cycle, now that adenosine level got reduced probably. And then now when it comes to night, and let's pretend that you need like a certain amount of adenosine money to say, I'm going to clock in and sleep now. And they're like, you don't have enough. You can't sleep. You got to stay awake. And so this is what happens a lot when people sleep in the day for a long time, like an hour or two. When it comes to nighttime, it's like, I'm not that sleepy right now.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one thing. The other thing is that even though, we have the ability to sleep in the day, your brain only does certain things at night. Period. And so if you want,
such as what?
Huh?
I said things such as what?
Like the lymphatic system. That
only happens at night.
Yes.
What?
So it's not going to just like activate every time you sleep. So just like
that's
those.
That's our trash clearing out system, right?
What's that?
The lymphatic system is reference to the trash clearing out system.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So just like how I mentioned, you have these genes, the circadian genes. They fluctuate on a 24-hour cycle. So they go up at a certain time, down. If you sleep and do different things, they're not just going to respond to every little action that you do. They have a time where they rise and a time where they go low. And so a lot of things in your body function this way. And so when we don't like basically listen to it or go with the flow of what it wants you to do, you are by default working against it, if that makes sense. So again, the lymphatic system acts at night, just like memory consolidation, by the way. So like learning and actually being able to remember something that happens
Yes.
during nighttime sleep. So the daytime sleep is more of a the daytime nap is more of just like a let me feel better and get a little more energy to make it to nighttime. That should be the goal of a daytime nap. Not, I'm so tired because I didn't sleep last night. Let me just go to sleep for 3 hours now and
That's
feel
bad.
better. That's bad because now that's going to mess up the next time you're trying to sleep at night and it becomes a bad cycle. So you have to break that.
So you should like in that instance, you should just fight it if you're tired.
Yeah, I would say fight it up front so that you can start getting full night's rest.
Mhm.
And you can fight it, or if you're responsible enough, actually only take a 20-minute nap.
Oh man,
And it
that's
could help
interesting.
you.
You say it again?
It could help. It could still help. But, you know, a lot of people are like, well, I'm tired. I'm just going to sleep. But you have to think about the consequence. Like, do you want your body, when it's ready to do things to help you, to be in the right situation? Or do you want to say, nah, forget it? And then now when it shows up to do the job, like, where's everybody? You know?
Yes, Doctor. Wait, hold on, because I got like three questions right now,
Okay.
and they're kind of jumping. Oh goodness, my first one is coming off what you just said, but that was something I was going to ask earlier. Oh yes, how? Okay, I'm gonna have to write these down. So, okay, let me ask. How does the body? Because like you just made a great point. Don't you want your body to be in a good state to be able to deal, with whatever physiological response maybe coming in. But how does the body or even the individual know that there's a there's a problem with the circadian rhythm versus there's a problem with sleep deprivation?
Mm-hmm.
Like to be like the symptoms of those, are they similar? Like I don't know if my question makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
So, again, think about it this way. Circadian rhythms is like the overarching headline. Okay. And then sleep is one of the things that is under that, as well as all the other bodily functions like thinking, your memory, alertness, your temperature rhythms, your hormone release, digestion, these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how would you know? I think you have a feeling when things don't feel right in your body, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So, most of us get these feelings, and the cognitive side of our brain says, "I'll push through it." Maybe there's some motivation, like, "Well, I have to go to work, I'll get fired," or something, right?
Yeah, that's
And
like
so,
intrinsic motivation, or extrinsic,
right,
extrinsic. I don't know.
right. So you might ignore like that internal cue that's telling you something is off. Maybe you might have noticed weight gain a lot lately,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe you realize that there's bloating, or um, you might be like foggy brain, or just different things like that. Your body tends to tell you when things aren't going well. And so, sleep deprivation is a common occurrence that will certainly disrupt your other rhythms as well, because a lot of things happen while you sleep. So if you're not doing that, then it's going to be hard for a lot of other things to take place as well, right? So how do you know you're sleep deprived? You're just tired, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
definitely tired, but then you'll be trying to catch up, or maybe some people drink caffeine to
Yep.
stay awake, but their body's going to be breaking down in one way or the other
And
because
while
it's,
that
yeah.
person is sleep deprived, is their circadian rhythm still intact or no?
That's a good question. There's not a lot of evidence about what it might look like for someone's circadian rhythm to stop working per se.
Okay.
Um, so if you think about it as more of this magnet that's always trying to pull you back to something, it seems to be more of that type of a situation where your body knows, like you have this clock and you're not listening to it. And we're trying to get you back here. So, because your body's always trying to maintain homeostasis, right?
Yeah.
At least a body that works. So, if you are thirsty, that means you need more water. If you're overly salivating, maybe you should stop drinking the water. Like you might be hungry, you might be full. Like you have these seesaw situations you could think of. And so, it's the same thing with the rhythms. It's gonna keep trying to pull you back. It's not gonna let you sleep too much, and sleeping too much is a issue. But if you sleep too little, it's also an issue, right? So yeah, so there's not really like that I know of people that are well studied that don't have a clock at all. Um, it's just more of
Don't
this
have a clock?
like a rhythm, like their
A
rhythms
rhythm.
are totally gone. I don't know of that personally. For
Okay.
people, that is, I know of it in mice, but not in people. But yeah, there's if you have like a disrupted rhythm, which means that it's not doing the right 24-hour period cycling. There are a lot of issues that come along with that, for basically the things that the rhythms control don't work well anymore.
Mm. How long was the sleep schedule for mice disrupted in order to produce circadian rhythm dysfunction issues out of order?
Right. So for me, I didn't actually study sleep directly in mice. I studied their activity rhythm.
Activity, yes.
Yeah, which is complementary to sleep. So that's, reasonable to think. But I used this light paradigm where I gradually went from a normal cycle to a disrupted cycle in about 3 weeks. Could it have been accomplished faster? Maybe. I didn't do the test. But this cycle took 3 weeks where I gradually fragmented the nighttime when they're active.
Mhm.
And then when I got to the end of the cycle, their activity was spread throughout the entire 24-hour period. And so it took about 3 weeks to a month, you could say, for that to happen for mice
Mhm.
in my specific experiment.
I got you. I
Hmm.
got you. That's actually that's a good period of time before any disruption. And that whole time you have this magnet type of deal going. They're trying to pull the mice back to the original state, right?
Potentially. So now this
Potentially.
is a this that's a really good question because I don't know in this case with the rhythms seem like messed up as they were, how is the clock behaving at that point? So I don't know if this is now an example of the clock says we give up, just do what you want, or if the magnet still works, so to speak. So that's something that could be looked into. That's a
Yeah.
great research project.
No, is that right?
Yeah.
Because that sounds kind of interesting. I'm wondering if you would one of the ways you could start like or someone would start looking to measure that would be is there a way to measure the transcription rates within a cell?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could do that. Hmm.
Okay. I'm wondering if that's one of the ways to kind of tell the cell if they're following the circadian rhythm.
So what people usually do is that they sample tissue that they're interested in at different times of the day. And then you can like see that the transcription level is high or low at different times of the 24-hour rhythm, right? A period.
Yeah.
And then if you change the environment, you might see a change in that. So maybe the transcription rate stays consistent throughout the day, or just really low, or really elevated, or something like that. And that would show a loss of a rhythm, for example.
Mm.
if it's not changing, right? That's how people would figure it out. Just look at different times throughout the day.
So a loss of rhythm would indicate disruption or something like that.
Absolutely.
Got you.
Yeah, because if you don't have a clock that's telling you when, you must have some other thing that's, I guess, just how you think about life is like, oh, I guess I'll do it now,
Yeah,
versus your body goes, this is the best time for you to do this.
I got you.
And you have to think about it this way as well. It's not just like, oh, it's cool to do it when your body says. Your body is trying to coordinate all these different functions. So I always say, like, let's use Uber Eats. I know people use this stuff a lot. Let's say
I was no, go ahead. I'm just talking.
let's say let's say you call your favorite restaurant to order some food. But
Okay.
you're calling at a time of day when they're not there. First of all, that's just a problem, right? You're not going to get anybody dead on
No.
arrival. Or let's say you call and you got them, and then now the driver that's supposed to bring the food isn't available. Or let's say that they are available, but then they take forever to bring your food because they got some wrong message about how to do things, and now they brought the food and it's cold. Or let's say they bring the food at 4 a.m., but you're sleeping. You see? Things need to be coordinated. And that's what this whole system does, is coordinate functions based on the environment. And so when we disrupt that environment and don't pay attention to it and sleep at the wrong time of the day, we're just like messed up Uber order.
That's a really good analogy. Oh man.
Thanks for joining us today. Please visit our website at clocktips.com for more information about this podcast, how to join our ongoing research study, and more resources to help you improve your time intuition, sleep, and productivity. If you found this information helpful or interesting, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with others and join the discussion on our social media platforms under the handle @myclocktips. Until next time, take care of yourself.